Well, Proverbs 26 is kind of the opposite of what we learned last time. Last in the Proverbs 25, we talked about honesty and integrity with yourself and others. Proverbs 26 is going to be kind of, instead of what you should do, here's a bunch of examples of what you should not do, basically, in your life. So, kind of the contrary examples we're going to get today. So, as we look at this, verse 1, as snow in summer and as rain in harvest, so honor is not seemingly for a fool. So just like snowing in the middle of summer is not beneficial to anybody, and definitely when you are trying to harvest and it rains and it ruins your harvest, that's not good. So honor on a fool is the same thing. There's no value to it. It's a waste. So that's just an important thing to understand. Now, verse 2, and you might think of verse 1 actually is from a standpoint of politics. Honor on a fool is not good. Yeah, welcome to politicians. Okay, verse 2, as the bird by wandering, as the swallow by flying, so the curse causeless shall not come. Now that sounds really strange. Let me look over here. The Revised Version says it is not good to eat. Oh, wait, sorry. Like a sparrow in its flitting, like a swallow in its flying, an undeserved curse goes nowhere. So that's what the curse causeless shall not come. That's what it means, is basically they're saying that, if you curse somebody or if you impose something on somebody, it's not warranted. It's a waste. Why do it? It's just pointless. Don't do pointless stuff. Now, verse 3, a whip for the horse, a bridle for the ass, and a rod for the fool's back. Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest thou also be like unto him. This is important. Very, very important. Answer not a fool according to his folly. Okay, this is that whole idea of don't put your foot in your mouth. Basically, don't stoop to their level. Don't seek the revenge against them according to their folly. That's not good. So verse 5, answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own conceit. So now this kind of almost flips verse 4, answer not a fool according to his folly, but then verse 5, answer a fool according to his folly. So you want to be careful in how you respond to the foolishness of others, basically. If you fall into the same problems as them, you're going to go bad. But if you try to correct them, you can help them, basically. Try to help in that correcting, but don't try to stoop to their level, basically, on there. Now, verse 6, he that sendeth a message by the hand of a fool cutteth off the feet and drinketh damage. So again, if you give a fool a message and you want him to deliver it, good luck. It probably isn't going to get there, and if it does, it's probably not going to be the message you want it delivered. It's going to be changed and corrupted. So you just be careful with that. So trusting people who aren't very trustworthy, you just get what you get. And that's up to, you just have to realize that. So look for people who have integrity, who have honesty in what they do. Now, verse 7, the legs of the lame are not equal, so is a parable in the mouth of fools. So again, if you're trying to teach a foolish person, they won't get it. It's not going to work out the way for them. And so you just have to go, okay, that's your choice. You're not learning. It's up to you. It's not worth arguing with fools. It's not worth trying to prove them wrong. Whatever. It's up to you, man. You have your agency. You need to deal with it. The natural causes of the foolishness is going to do the best anyways. So you don't have to worry about it yourself. You don't need to be their judge. Verse 8, as he that bindeth a stone in a sling, so is he that giveth honor to a fool. So if you think about a stone in a sling, now we think slingshot, the rubber bands pulled back. A sling back then was two long strips of leather with a leather pouch in between these two long strips. You'd put the rock in there, and then you would flip it around, basically. So if you bindeth a stone in a sling, okay, so if you tie the stone in there, what's going to happen when you fling it around? It doesn't go anywhere. The stone has to sit open. The stone has to be able to fall out. If it doesn't fall out, it can't go anywhere. So again, giving honor to a fool doesn't go anywhere. Doesn't help you. Now verse 9, as a thorn goeth up into the hand of a drunkard, so is a parable in the mouth of fools. So if you've fallen over, you stumbled because you're drunk, you hit the ground, you fall into a bush, the thorn goes into your hands, you don't even know what's happening. You don't even realize what's going on. That's what happens with a parable in the mouth of fools. So again, you can't teach people who aren't willing to learn. It's just how it goes. Now, verse 10, the great God that formed all things both rewardeth the fool and rewardeth transgressors. That is an important point, okay? I think there's two things you can look at from this one, okay? One is understanding that God still helps people. God still does. If they do a good thing, they're still going to have a blessing from that good thing. If they pray and they're sincere about it, he's going to help them. So if it's appropriate. So that's, that thing happens. And God still allows natural consequences to happen. So if that means good things happen to that person, then that's what happens. Don't worry about it. God's going to worry about equalizing all that out and getting that taken care of, okay? You don't need to stress out over, oh, that person's a bad person, but they're getting great stuff in life. Okay, whatever. God's got a plan for that, and it doesn't involve you having to worry about it. Let him take care of it. You don't need to worry about it. Now, verse 11, as a dog returneth to his vomit, so a fool returneth to his folly. Probably one of the more often quoted Proverbs ever. Proverbs 26:11. So just realize you don't need to worry about it. The folly from the fool, their choices are going to have natural consequences, and it's going to come back on them. You don't need to worry about being the judge, jury, and executioner for them. They're going to take care of themselves. Okay, I see this a lot with my own kids. With as kids get older and they have to use more agency, we have to help them to use agency. The challenge with allowing your children to use agency is they can make bad choices now. And you have to let them make bad choices. That doesn't mean you don't guide them and help them. But you have to understand that the opportunity to make a bad choice is present. And sometimes they choose it. And that's their choice. So, like with a teenager, you could say, look, I need you to be home at a certain time, and here's why I think this would be wise for you to be home. So you get plenty of sleep, you can get up in the morning and be working and get your stuff done tomorrow. It's a good planning strategy for your life, is to be home early, to get to sleep early, so you can have a better day tomorrow. And they might go, but I want to stay out and hang out with my friends longer, or whatever. And you can say, look, here's the deal. You get to choose what's going to happen. I would like you to be home by this time, and I'd really hope you'd follow this. But you can come home when you want. Then when they come home at 1 a.m. and there's been a car accident because they're too tired to drive, or the drunk drivers were out and they got hit because the crazy people are out at night, whatever, they're going to have to suffer the consequence of that. Or they're going to get up the next morning and go, oh, I still have to get up at 6:30 to go to work. I'm too tired to go to work. Well, you're like, well, tough beans, dude. You have an obligation to go to work. You made a choice, and the natural consequence is you're not happy. And that's appropriate. This is so important for us to understand, especially in today's world. We have a growing thought that is more of a liberal thought that we need to police other people, that we need to police their choices and their agency. And that's baloney, total baloney. We need to allow them to have those natural causes. Okay? If we stop our children from having the consequence of falling down, they'll never learn how to pick themselves up, how to overcome. Okay? This is a classic example is when you have younger kids, oh, I don't want to go outside and get dirty and get diseases and get sick. Okay, but that's how their immune system learns how to be stronger and better, is by fighting off these bacteria. So they have to be in adversity. They have to go outside and play and get dirty. And that helps their immune system to grow and improve. So when they're older, they have less allergies, they have less problems. So by concealing them, by hiding your children from the world, you're actually making them harder for them. Natural causes are natural causes. That doesn't mean you have to let people suffer and die. You can still help them. But you have to understand that people need to have agency, and they have to be willing to choose that. If we take people's agency away, we take their ability to choose away from them because we don't want to have the negative consequence, we're running into problems. People have to have that consequence. That is important, okay? Any policy that wants you to take away the agency of somebody else, even if it's for a good reason. Okay, I see this with like abortion, and I might offend a few of you at this point as I do this, just FYI. But here's the thing, okay, abortion is a medical procedure. Can it be used in an effective way? There are certain circumstances that could be argued that the procedure of an abortion is an appropriate procedure to take. And we're not going to argue about what those procedures are, what those conditions are. I'm just saying that there are possibilities where that procedure could be the right answer. So I get the idea that we want to take abortion, we want to basically ban abortions because we want to preserve life. It sounds like the just thing to do to preserve life. But when we take people's agency to choose away from them, we are taking away their ability to do what God wants them to do, which is to make a decision, which means we get punished. If we take somebody's agency away, we can be held accountable for their sins and their problems. That's not what we want. We want them to be accountable, not us. So giving them their agency, even if it means they use their agency in a bad way, is their choice. God is going to take care of it. They have to answer to God, not you, for that. That's their choice, okay? I never heard once Christ taking away somebody's agency to choose. And if you think you know somewhere in the scriptures that Christ takes somebody's agency away to choose, you can put it in the comments. We'll debate it there and discuss it. Because I have not found a place where God, even God or Christ, takes away agency. He lets natural consequences happen to people. And people get themselves into situations where their agency is taken away. Like in jail. Oh, you did something wrong. Now we're going to, because you didn't make a good choice, we're going to limit your choice and hopefully help you learn how to make better choices. That's what jail should be about. So just realize agency is so important. We need to be allowing people's agency. It's very, very important. So just like in verse 11 here, there's natural consequences. The natural consequences will take care of it. Natural consequences put pressure on our life to help us to learn truth. This is very important. Okay, if you stay up late, you're going to have problems the next day. Why? Because of the choice of staying up late. You're going to learn, okay, staying up late's not a good idea. Maybe that's not the truth. Maybe the truth is sleeping earlier, getting more sleep in so I'm well rested. So you try it that way. Oh, look, going to bed early, getting up early, I feel better, I feel well rested, I feel happier. There's the truth. I'm going to go that way instead of staying up late. The natural consequence is a way to help us to course correct. It's not our job to be the police for somebody else. Okay, always remember that. Verse 12, seest thou a man wise in his own conceit? There is more hope of a fool than of him. So again, don't drink your own Kool-Aid too much. Don't believe. It's good to believe in yourself, but if you believe in yourself too much, it's going to be a problem. It's not going to work out. You're turning into a fool, even though you're wise. Verse 13, the slothful man saith, there is a lion in the way, a lion is in the streets. As the door turneth upon his hinges, so doth the slothful upon his bed. The slothful hideth his hand in his bosom, it grieveth him to bring it again to his mouth. The sluggard is wiser in his own conceit than 7 men that can render a reason. And this happens a lot sometimes where this slothfulness idea is a problem, okay? Where, oh, I'm going to come up with excuses to not do things. This is, you could say a procrastinating man and kind of get the same ideas on this. I'm going to I'm going to come up with reasons to be lazy, to do things, to get out of the obligations and things that I have, basically. Just like it says in there that, you're going to change in every which way to minimize the need for you to do effort. This happens a lot, and you just have to be careful with it. And do not get in that cycle of getting slothful, of going, oh, I'm going to rely on somebody else's efforts. I'm going to rely on somebody else to do it for me, or I'm going to put my efforts into, and kids do this all the time, I'm going to spend more time whining and crying about this than actually just getting up and doing what my parents said. And I know that drives parents nuts because we're like, dude, the time it took you to whine and cry about it, you could have had it done. So now you're wasting your time doubly. It's just, yeah. Hard work and integrity make a big difference, very big difference. So let's jump into verse 17. He that passeth by and meddleth with strife, belonging not to him, is like one that taketh a dog by the ears. Now, there's a kind of a little side note on this one. Dogs were not pets in Israel, but typically ran wild. One seized by the ears would certainly bite its attacker. So dogs were not domesticated animals back then, basically. They just ran wild all over the place. So if you grabbed one by the ear, you're going to get bit. It's going to fight you off and defend itself, basically. So again, if you get into somebody else's trouble, you're going to get bit by that trouble. Don't mess with other people's trouble. Okay? Very important. Now, verse 18, as a madman who casteth firebrands, arrows, and death, so is the man that deceiveth his neighbor, and saith, am not I in sport? So again, don't cause trouble for other people. Come on. That's love people, support them, help them. Don't be a backbiter. Don't be a deceiver. There's so much wisdom in here. Now, verse 20, where no wood is, there the fire goeth out. So where there is no table bearer, the strife ceaseth. Very important thing for us to look at. Okay, again, if you're not feeding the fire, if you're not giving people reasons to be hated and to fight and argue, it goes out. If you take all the wood out of the fire goes away. Okay, fire needs fuel, something to burn. And so if you don't add to the fuel of an argument, it'll go away. It'll peter out and be gone. So don't get into the mess of things. Share, be kind to people, don't argue with people. There's so many ways that they've basically said the same thing over and over again. It's pretty interesting. Verse 21, as coals are to burning coals and wood to fire, so is a contentious man to kindle strife. So again, contentious man, if you think of a contentious person as like they're on fire and then they talk with other people, they're trying to get other people on fire. And they want to spread as much fire as they can. That's what they're doing. And the best way to deal with them is to not deal with them. Don't get into the mess with them because that's what they want. And the fire will go out because there's nobody to fight against. Verse 22, the words of a table bearer are as wounds, and they go down into the innermost parts of the belly. Burning lips and a wicked heart are like a potsherd covered with silver dross. He that hateth dissembleth with his lips, and layeth up deceit within him. When he speaketh fair, believe him not, for there are 7 abominations in his heart. So again, this is dealing with people who lie, who they're projecting an image the way they want it, but inside they're different. Be honest. Be honest with yourself. Be thorough. Honest inside and outside. Let those work together. Don't be one way with one group and another way with another group. Just be honest, basically. Very, very important to do. Verse 26, whose hatred is covered by deceit, his wickedness shall be showed before the whole congregation. These are the people who speak fair, but aren't, basically. There's lots of abominations and problems in their heart. They speak good, but inside they're corrupt. Okay, this is also whoso diggeth a pit shall fall therein, and he that rolleth a stone, it will return upon him. A lying tongue hateth those that are afflicted by it, and a flattering mouth worketh ruin. So true. Be honest. Have integrity. So true. Do not be like these people, basically. Do not do these things. So remember, this is kind of the contrary of what we learned in 25. 25 is about being honest and integritous. 26 is don't be the jerk. Don't be the fool. Don't be the liar and deceiver, basically. So kind of opposite of each other to give us that contrary to look at. Let's jump over to our next proverb as we continue forward.